The Coin That Fell from Orbit. A Sci-Fi Story. Part 1. The coin struck the pavement with a sound that should have been impossible. Not a clink, not a metallic tap, but a thud, dense and heavy, like something falling from a great height or from a great distance. 12-year-old Elian Ward froze mid-stride on the empty street, his backpack half unzipped, the early autumn wind tugging at the loose straps. He turned slowly toward the sound. The street was empty. No birds, no cars, no people. Just the faint shimmer of heat rising from the asphalt and a single object lying in the center of the road. A coin, perfectly round, perfectly still, as if the world itself was holding its breath around it. Elian stepped closer. The air felt thicker, like walking through warm syrup. His skin prickled, and the hairs on his arms rose in a slow wave. He crouched. The coin was unlike anything he'd ever seen. Not gold, not silver, not any metal he recognized. Its surface shimmered with a faint iridescence, shifting colors like oil on water. Symbols, or maybe numbers, spiraled around its edge in a pattern that made his eyes ache if he stared too long. He reached out. The moment his fingers brushed the surface, the world snapped back into motion. A gust of wind tore down the street. A dog barked somewhere far away. A car horn blared, and the coin was suddenly warm in his hand. Alive. Elian jerked back, but the coin clung to his palm as if magnetized to his skin. He shook his hand. Nothing. He tried peeling it off with his other hand. It didn't budge. Then the warmth faded. The coin loosened, and it dropped into his palm like an ordinary piece of metal. Elian stared at it, breathing hard. "What are you?" The coin didn't answer, but the symbols along its edge pulsed once. A faint, rhythmic glow, like a heartbeat. The first ripple. By the time Elian reached home, the coin felt heavier. Not physically, it weighed no more than a large button, but in the way it occupied his thoughts. Every few steps he found himself checking his pocket, making sure it was still there. He pushed open the front door. "Mom? I'm home." No answer. He dropped his backpack by the stairs and walked into the kitchen. His mother stood at the counter, staring at a mug of coffee as if she'd forgotten what it was. "Mom!" She blinked, looked up, and forced a smile. "Hey, sweetheart. Sorry. Long day." Elian hesitated. Something felt off. The kitchen lights flickered, just once, and the refrigerator hummed a little too loudly. "Did something happen?" "No," she said too quickly. "Everything's fine." He didn't push. Instead, he slipped the coin from his pocket and placed it on the table. "Look what I found." His mother leaned in. Her eyes narrowed. "Elian, where did you get this?" "It fell. From the sky." She stared at him, not with disbelief but with something closer to fear. "Elian, coins don't fall from the sky. This one did." She picked it up. The moment her fingers touched it, the kitchen lights flickered again. The refrigerator hummed louder. A glass on the counter rattled. His mother dropped the coin as if burned. "Elian," she whispered, "don't touch that again." "But, promise me." He swallowed. "Okay." But he didn't mean it, because the moment she turned away, the coin pulsed again, a soft, warm glow, and he felt it calling to him. The scientists. 2 days later, the coin was no longer a secret. It started with the birds, hundreds of them circling above the Ward house in a perfect spiral, wings beating in eerie synchrony. Then the power grid in their neighborhood flickered for 6 minutes straight. Then the local weather station recorded a sudden, localized temperature spike. A 10-degree jump centered precisely on their street. By the time the government arrived, the coin had already been taken to the Temporal Physics Research Institute, a facility Elian had never heard of until the black vans showed up. Dr. Mara Kessler, lead physicist, held the coin with gloved hands as she examined it under a scanning array. "It's not any known alloy," she murmured. "And these markings, they're not random. They're a sequence." "A code?" asked her assistant. "A timestamp." The assistant frowned. "A timestamp for what?" For when it was minted. She tapped a key. The computer translated the spiraling symbols into a string of numbers. The assistant leaned in. That can't be right. It's right, Dr. Kessler said quietly. The timestamp corresponded to a date 312 years in the future. The experiment. Elian sat behind the observation glass, knees pulled to his chest, watching the scientists prepare the temporal chamber. He wasn't supposed to be here, but Dr. Kessler insisted. You found it, she'd said. It responds to you. You should see what happens. He wasn't sure if that made him feel important or terrified. The chamber hummed to life. A ring of superconducting coils glowed blue. The coin sat on a pedestal in the center, illuminated by a single beam of white light. Temporal displacement field at 12%, a technician called out. The air shimmered. The coin vibrated. 15%. The coin lifted half a centimeter off the pedestal. 20%. The coin froze midair. Not moving. Not vibrating. Just fixed. Displacement field stable, the technician said. Initiating temporal shift. A pulse of energy rippled through the chamber. The coin did not move. Not forward. Not backward. Not sideways. It simply refused. Dr. Kessler frowned. Increase the field. 25%. The coin remained still. 30%. Still nothing. 40. The lights flickered. The air crackled. The technicians exchanged nervous glances. Elian, Dr. Kessler said without turning. What are you feeling? He hesitated. It's warm. How warm? Like it's waking up. Dr. Kessler stiffened. Shut it down. Doctor, shut it down. The chamber powered off. The coils dimmed. The coin dropped back onto the pedestal with a soft metallic tap. Everyone exhaled. Then the technician nearest the console gasped. Doctor, look at this. The monitors displayed a map of the surrounding area. Tiny red markers blinked across the screen. What are those? Dr. Kessler asked. Changes, the technician whispered. Subtle ones, but real. Changes to what? To everything. The second ripple. The first change was small. A street that had always curved slightly to the left now curved slightly to the right. The second was stranger. A local bakery, one Elian had visited dozens of times, now had a different name. Same building. Same owner. Different name. The third was impossible. A photograph in Elian's living room, one of him and his mother at the beach, now showed a different color shirt on him. Blue instead of red. His mother didn't notice. No one noticed. Except him. And the scientists. Dr. Kessler paced the lab, her expression tight. The coin is a fixed point, she said. A temporal anchor. It cannot be moved because it is already exactly where and when it must be. Why? The assistant asked. That's what we need to find out. Elian swallowed hard. Is it dangerous? Dr. Kessler turned to him. Everything is dangerous if you don't understand it. The message. That night, Elian couldn't sleep. The coin sat on his bedside table, pulsing faintly in the dark. He stared at it. Why me? He whispered. The coin pulsed again. He reached out, slowly, and touched it. The world dissolved. He was standing in a vast, empty space. No floor, no sky, just endless white stretching in all directions. A figure stood in front of him, tall, human-shaped, but blurred, as if made of shifting light. Elian Ward, the figure said, its voice echoing without sound. You have found the anchor. Elian's throat tightened. What are you? A messenger. From the future? From beyond it. Elian's pulse hammered. Why did the coin come to me? Because you are the point of convergence. I don't understand. You will. The figure raised a hand. The coin appeared between them, floating. This object is not a coin. It is a keystone, a stabilizer, a safeguard. For what? For the timeline. Elian stepped back. Why is it changing things? Because the timeline is adjusting to accommodate its presence. Why can't you take it back? Because it must remain here. Why? The figure hesitated. To prevent the collapse. Elian's breath caught. Collapse of what? Everything. The white space flickered. The figure blurred. Elian Ward, it said, voice fading. You must protect the keystone. Others will come for it. They must not succeed. Who? Who's coming? The figure dissolved. The world snapped back. Elian gasped and fell backward onto his bed, chest heaving. The coin pulsed once, then went still. The third ripple. The next morning, the world was different again. Not dramatically, not obviously, but wrong. The neighbor's dog, a golden retriever named Milo, was now a black lab named Jasper. The school bus arrived 3 minutes earlier than usual. His best friend, Lila, wore glasses she'd never needed before. And when Elian walked into class, the teacher paused mid-sentence and stared at him as if she'd forgotten who he was. Elian, she said slowly. You're early. He wasn't. He was late. He checked the clock. The clock was wrong. Or he was. Or the world was. The coin felt heavier in his pocket. The warning. At lunch, Lila cornered him behind the gym. You're acting weird, she said. What's going on? Elian hesitated. If he told her, she'd think he was crazy. But the world was shifting around him like sand, and he needed someone to anchor him. So he told her everything. The coin, the scientists, the experiment, the changes, the message. Lila listened without interrupting. When he finished, she crossed her arms. Elian, I believe you. He blinked. You do? Yeah, because I've noticed things too. His stomach dropped. Like what? Like the fact that my dad used to work at the power plant. Now he works at the observatory. And he's never mentioned the power plant in his life. Elian swallowed. So it's not just me. No, she said softly. It's the world. Before he could respond, a shadow fell over them. Dr. Kessler stood at the corner of the building, her expression grim. Elian, she said, we need to talk. Lila stepped protectively in front of him. He's not going anywhere unless you tell us what's happening. Dr. Kessler hesitated. Then she said the words that made Elian's blood run cold. The coin isn't just anchored to the present. It's anchored to you. Part 2. Dr. Kessler's words hung in the air like a blade suspended by a thread. Elian, she repeated. The coin isn't just anchored to the present. It's anchored to you. Lila's hand tightened around his wrist. What does that mean? Dr. Kessler exhaled slowly. It means the coin's temporal signature is entangled with Elian's biological pattern. His presence stabilizes it. Without him, the coin becomes volatile. Volatile how? Elian asked. Reality shifts, she said. Small at first, then larger. The world tries to correct itself around the keystone. Around you. Elian's stomach twisted. So the changes, the bakery, the dog, the photo, all ripples, Dr. Kessler said. And they're accelerating. Lila stepped forward. Then stop experimenting on it. Dr. Kessler's jaw tightened. We already have. Elian frowned. Then why are the changes still happening? Dr. Kessler hesitated. Elian, she said quietly. Because the coin is preparing for something. The pursuers. That night, Elian dreamed of the figure again, the blurred messenger in the endless white space. But this time it wasn't alone. Shapes moved behind it, darker, sharper, like silhouettes cut from shadow. Elian Ward, the messenger said, voice strained. They have found the anchor. Who? Elian asked. The shadows surged forward. The messenger flickered. They are not from your future. They are from a future that must not be. The shadows pressed closer. The messenger raised a hand, and the coin appeared between them again, glowing fiercely. You must not let them touch the keystone, it said. If they do, the timeline collapses into their design. What design? The messenger's form distorted, as if pulled by invisible hooks. Elian, run. The world shattered. Elian woke with a gasp, drenched in sweat. The coin pulsed on his nightstand, and outside his window something moved. Not a person, not an animal, a distortion like heat haze, drifting slowly across the yard. Searching. The break-in. Elian didn't scream. He slid silently out of bed, grabbed the coin, and backed toward the door. The distortion drifted closer to the window. The shape flickered, vaguely humanoid but wrong. Too tall, too thin. Its edges shimmered like a glitch in a video. The window pane frosted over. Elian bolted. He ran down the hall, heart hammering, and burst into his mother's room. "Mom, wake up!" She jolted upright. "Elian? What?" A crash echoed from his room. His mother's eyes widened. "Get downstairs. Now." They sprinted down the stairs. She grabbed the phone. No signal. Every light in the house flickered. "Elian," she whispered. "What did you bring into this house?" He opened his hand. The coin glowed softly. His mother stared at it, horror dawning. "Oh God!" The distortion appeared at the top of the stairs. It didn't walk. It slid, like a smear of reality dragged across the air. Elian's mother grabbed his arm. "Out the back door, go!" They ran. The distortion followed. The intervention. They burst into the backyard just as a black SUV screeched to a stop in the alley. Dr. Kessler jumped out, flanked by 2 agents in dark tactical gear. "Elian!" she shouted. "Get down!" The distortion lunged. One of the agents fired a device that wasn't a gun, a pulsimeter. A shockwave rippled through the air, distorting the distortion. It shrieked. Not a sound. A vibration that rattled Elian's bones. "Again!" Dr. Kessler yelled. The second agent fired. The distortion convulsed, flickered, and dissolved into a cloud of shimmering particles. Elian collapsed to his knees. His mother knelt beside him, trembling. "What was that?" Dr. Kessler approached slowly. "A temporal predator," she said. "A being from a divergent timeline. They're drawn to fixed points, especially ones that threaten their existence." Elian swallowed. "It was looking for the coin." "No," Dr. Kessler said. "It was looking for you." The facility breach. They returned to the Temporal Physics Research Institute under heavy escort. The building was on lockdown. Guards patrolled the halls. Scientists whispered urgently in corners. Dr. Kessler led Elian and his mother into the central lab. "We've been monitoring the ripples," she said. "They're increasing exponentially." "How exponentially?" Elian asked. She pointed to a screen. The map of the region was covered in red markers. "Reality is destabilizing," she said. "The coin's presence is causing the timeline to reconfigure itself around you, and the predators are trying to force a collapse." Elian's mother stepped forward. "Then destroy the coin." Dr. Kessler shook her head. "We tried. It's indestructible. And even if it weren't, destroying a fixed point could unravel the timeline entirely." Elian stared at the coin in his hand. "So what do we do?" Dr. Kessler hesitated. "There is one option," she said. "We can attempt a temporal inversion." "What's that?" Lila asked. She had insisted on coming, refusing to leave Elian's side. "It's the opposite of displacement," Dr. Kessler said. "Instead of sending the coin through time, we invert its temporal anchor, flipping its causality. If it works, the coin will reveal its purpose." "And if it doesn't?" Elian asked. Dr. Kessler looked at him. "Then the timeline collapses." The inversion chamber. The chamber was larger than the displacement room, circular, lined with concentric rings of superconducting coils. The air hummed with static. Elian stepped inside. Dr. Kessler stood at the control panel. "Elian, once the inversion begins, you must hold the coin, no matter what happens." He nodded. Lila grabbed his arm. "Don't die." He managed a weak smile. "I'll try." He stepped onto the central platform. The coin pulsed. The coils lit up. "Inversion field at 10%, a technician called. The air thickened. 20%. The coin grew warm. 30%. The world blurred at the edges. Elian, Dr. Kessler said through the intercom. What do you feel? He swallowed. Like the coin is remembering something. 40%. The chamber vibrated. 50%. The coin lifted from his palm, but he held on. 60%. The world flickered. For a moment, Elian saw two versions of the lab overlapping, one pristine, one in ruins. 70%. The coin glowed white-hot. Elian, Dr. Kessler shouted. Hold on, he screamed as the light engulfed him. The revelation. Silence. Then, white space. The messenger stood before him again, but this time its form was clearer, more human, less blurred. Elian Ward, it said softly. You have reached the threshold. Elian gasped. What is happening to me? You are seeing the truth. The coin floated between them, spinning slowly. This object is not a keystone, the messenger said. It is a choice. A choice for what? For the future. The shadows appeared again, the predators, but they kept their distance. Elian, the messenger said, your timeline is one of many, but only one leads to survival. Survival of what? The collapse. Elian clenched his fists. You keep saying that. What collapses? The messenger stepped closer. Causality. Elian froze. The predators come from a timeline where causality has broken, the messenger said. Where events no longer follow from actions. Where time loops, fractures, and devours itself. Elian's voice shook. Why me? Because you are the first point of divergence, the messenger said. The first moment where the timeline can be saved. The coin drifted toward him. Elian Ward, the messenger said. You must choose. Choose what? To keep the coin. Elian blinked. That's it. Yes. What happens if I don't? The messenger looked at the shadows. They win. Elian swallowed. And if I keep it? The timeline stabilizes. Slowly, painfully, but it survives. Elian stared at the coin. Why me? He whispered again. The messenger smiled, a sad human smile. Because you picked it up. The return. The white space dissolved. Elian collapsed onto the platform, gasping. The chamber alarms blared. Sparks flew from the coils. Dr. Kessler shouted orders. Technicians scrambled. Elian! Lila screamed from behind the glass. He lifted his head. The coin lay in his palm. Still. Quiet. Normal. Dr. Kessler rushed in as the chamber powered down. Elian! What happened? He looked at her. I made a choice. The lights flickered, then stabilized. The hum of the facility softened. Outside, the red markers on the map began to fade. One by one, Dr. Kessler stared at the screen. The ripples, they're reversing. Lila ran to him and hugged him so tightly he couldn't breathe. His mother knelt beside him, tears in her eyes. Elian, she whispered, is it over? He looked at the coin. It pulsed once. A soft, gentle glow. No, he said quietly. It's beginning. The final ripple. Over the next days, the world settled. The bakery returned to its original name. Milo was a golden retriever again. Lila no longer wore glasses. The timeline healed, but not completely. Some things remained changed. Small things. A street sign with a different font. A teacher with a slightly altered accent. A constellation in the night sky with one star shifted a fraction of a degree. Elian noticed them all, because the coin was still with him. Still warm. Still alive. Still waiting. One evening, he stood in his backyard, staring at the sky. Lila joined him. Do you think they'll come back? She asked. The predators? She nodded. Elian looked at the coin. They can't, he said. Not anymore. Why not? Because the timeline chose. Lila frowned. Chose what? Elian turned the coin over in his hand. To stay. He slipped it into his pocket. And so did I. The stars shimmered overhead. One of them flickered, just once, like a coin catching the light as it falls. Elian smiled. The world was stable, for now. But the coin had fallen from orbit for a reason, and someday he knew he would learn what that reason was. This is the end of the sci-fi story, The Coin That Fell from Orbit. Leave a like if you enjoyed the story, and subscribe for more sci-fi stories. Thanks for listening.